Hi, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm your host, Crystal Fry, a woman's best friend. Thank you to everyone who is coming in and joining us live. And for those of you who are watching in the replay tonight, thank you so much for joining us. If you are joining live, go ahead and use the hashtag FNL for Friday Night Live. And for my folks watching in the replay, go ahead and drop the hashtag replay in there. Say hello so I can say hello when you come in. Tonight, I'm going to go ahead right here at the beginning and give fair warning. This is a real talk night. And we are having a conversation tonight about your responsibility to yourself, that you are responsible for yourself. Tonight, we're doing a gut check, that you are responsible for you. Of all the things in this world that are out of your control, your responses are not one of those things. Okay? When you really stop to think about it, because tonight we're going to talk about you are responsible for you. And when you really think about it, you actually have very little control over what happens in the world around you, right? I mean, think about it. The sun rises, we have wind, rain, all sorts of other weather, things, the process of photosynthesis, the way other people act, the way other people feel, the way other people think. You don't have control over any of that. None. Even if you think you do, even if you can persuade someone to do something, it's still actually their choice. So of all of these things that you have zero control over, the one thing that you have 100% control over are your responses. You have 100% control over your reactions, your thoughts, your words, what you say, how you respond to a situation. You control all of those things. So tonight we're going to talk about that. And this might be a little bit of an uncomfortable space for some people to be in. And that's, quite frankly, it's okay. It was an uncomfortable place for me to be in when I went through this process and had to really kind of give myself a gut check that, oh, hey, yeah, guess what? By the way, all those choices were yours. Yeah, they were mine. They were my choices. That's not always an easy thing for us to deal with when we're faced with it for the first time. So, but you do have 100%, control over what those responses are. And I use this, I use a great example to teach my children this. They are, they're older now, but this was a really great thing. They're both boys. And if any of my watchers out there have boys, you know that they can, kind of fight and bicker amongst themselves a little bit. And we would be in the car and, they would be arguing about something and one of them would hit the other. And I would say, no, you don't do that. You don't lay hands on your brother. What are you doing? Well, he made me do it. He made me hit him. Oh, no. What he did may have created, a feeling in you of anger, but you chose to reach your hand over there and hit them. So it's all a choice. And I think that's one of the difficult things. I think that's one of the things that we as just human beings struggle with is the fact that everything that we do is a choice. And that is, sometimes that's a tough realization to get to because it is a lot easier. It's so much easier to blame someone, something, anything for our circumstances. It's so much easier to push that off because then we are essentially relieving ourselves of the responsibility for the situation that we're in, for our circumstances where we find ourselves. But the truth is, you are where you are because of the choices you've made or allowed someone else to make for you. That was a really tough thing for me to swallow. That was a really tough lesson for me to wrap my head around and really come to a place of acceptance with it. Because, like I said, who wants to hear that they're responsible for, the fact that they're in a job that they don't like, or that they are in a relationship that they don't like, or that they're not comfortable with their situation? but we are, because we choose to stay or we choose to walk down that path. It's a choice. And that is, one of the greatest gifts that we were given by our Creator is the gift of free will, the gift of choice. But your choices are your responsibility. And that is often difficult to come to terms with. We usually don't see that. It's hard for us to recognize that because we're stuck in habits, right? Our choices, our habits are our choices, but they don't look like choices because we just do them. They're just part of our routine. They're just part of what we do. I get up, I make coffee. That's a choice. It's a choice that I've made over and over and over again, and now it's a habit. I get up in the morning and I make coffee, and I enjoy it. I've spent a whole lot of time home here over these last, 4, 6, 8, however many weeks we've all been home right now. I drink a lot more coffee now. I really like coffee. I think I may be actually starting to give myself a stomach ulcer though. So I'm going to have to make a choice to back off the coffee. Again, that's a choice. I can't blame the coffee for the fact that it's, giving me some issues, because I'm the one who's choosing to get up and make cup after cup after cup and drink it. So those are choices. And the thing about that is that you really have to pause long enough to evaluate what your choices are, to evaluate and really take a look at what it is that you are doing, whether it's out of habit, whether it is, because you're unsure, you feel like you're stuck, and so you don't make a choice. Hey, listen, when you don't make a choice, when you don't make a decision, let me say that, when you don't make a decision, that's still making a choice. Choosing not to decide about something is still a choice. So, even when it comes to, hey, what do you want for dinner? Oh, I don't care. Well, you can't complain about what shows up on the table because you released your active decision making to someone else. So, when you think about that and you're thinking about your choices, I want to throw out some examples here. Now, please understand that I am in no way, shape, or form. I am not in any way trying to offend anyone with this. These are actually kind of personal to me. So they're not to step on anyone's toes. They're actually rather personal to me about it. But some examples to kind of help as we're going through this discussion about you're responsible for you and your choices. If you don't like your job, quit and find another one. Start a business. Find another career. Find another source of income legally, but find something else. If you don't like your weight, stop eating donuts and Oreos and go exercise. If you don't like your relationship, work on it. Work to make it better or get out of it. We have options. We have choices. But the thing is that we oftentimes, because we are not taking responsibility for ourselves and our choices, we release our control over our situation. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, you have very little control over things that happen in the outside world. You are not going to stop the sun from rising. You are not going to stop the rain from falling. You can get an umbrella so you don't get wet. But you're not going to stop a lot of things. You're not going to be able to change what somebody else thinks about you because it's their thought. You can behave differently and they may change their mind, but that is their choice, not yours. They're responsible for the way they think and feel about you. You are responsible for how you act, how you respond, the words that you say. But you don't have you don't have responsibility for them. You have responsibility for you. So if you're in a situation that you don't like, if you're in, like the examples I just used, a job, you're not happy with your weight, you're not happy with your relationship, you're not happy with the way things are going, You have the option to change it. That doesn't mean it's going to change overnight. Okay. If you're not happy with your relationship status, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to have one conversation and it's magically going to get better. It could, anything's possible, but it's likely that you're going to have to work at it. And you may reach a point where you've tried everything and that's just all there is. And maybe you just aren't compatible. And that's okay too. But the thing is, we oftentimes, because we release our choice, because we give it away, because we don't exercise the responsibility of our choices, because it's easier to blame it on them, because it's easier to say, well, I don't like my relationship. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's their fault. Our relationship is bad because of them. Maybe that's true. Could be. But you're choosing to stay. So that's your choice. You're choosing to stay there. You don't have to. So, and again, that's just an example. That is just an example because, again, it's just so much easier to complain about it and do nothing, to complain about it and be miserable, to complain about it and not, and, again, relieve yourself of that responsibility for making a change. Because you see, we can change our outcomes. We can. We have that ability. We can defy odds and find success. Listen, there are too many stories of people who defy odds and overcome obstacles and do things that they shouldn't be able to do and accomplish the impossible. There are too many examples of that for me to believe that we can't change. Listen, all things are possible through Christ. So how is it that I'm going to sit here and say that, well, this is just how it is and I can't do anything about that? Why not? That starts up here in your mindset. If you believe that you have no control, no power over anything, guess what? That's what your life is going to reflect. You're going to be a victim of everything that happens to you. You're going to be a victim of every situation. And that's just not the case. You can make a choice and be responsible for your actions, be responsible for your responses, your thoughts, your words, how you are going to respond to a situation. You can't control the situation most times. Take a car accident, for instance. If you are sitting at a stop sign and somebody runs through the other side and, whatever happens and they hit you while you're just sitting there, you can't control that. But what you can control is how you choose to respond to that situation. You can get out of your car and you can scream and yell and everything else, but that's probably not going to actually help anything. It's probably not going to give you a positive outcome out of, a negative situation that's just happened. You can choose how you're going to respond. But like I said, most of us are so ingrained within, our habits are so ingrained within us that we respond without thinking. And so we automatically, chalk that up to, well, I didn't have a choice. It just happened. No, it didn't just happen. It was still a choice. Conscious or unconscious, it was still a choice. And you have to be able to take responsibility for those choices, for your choices. So as you are making the decision to take a look at maybe how you have been responding, what that has looked like for you, let me just go ahead and empathize. If you do that and you determine that, oh gosh, this is hard, it's difficult. And if this is making you uncomfortable tonight, if you are watching this and you're kind of getting a little, because it's kind of starting to get under your skin a little bit, listen, sorry, not sorry, but I do understand because this was difficult for me. This was difficult, but it was a necessary discussion that I had to have with myself. It was necessary because in order for me to live the life that I want to live, I have to own my choices and my responses. I have to understand what my habits are in situations. I have to own what I am doing. I have to be responsible for my thoughts, my words, my actions, my responses, so that I can create the outcomes that I want. It's not just going to happen. The fairy tale life doesn't just fall into place. You have to make choices to get you on that path. You have to make decisions that will put you in the place to get the outcomes that you want. And those are your choices. They're your decisions. Again, it's not going to happen overnight. But you have to take the step. You have to make the choice and start walking in that direction instead of sitting on the sidelines, being mad about not being at the destination you want to be at and blaming everything else because you're not there. Well, what are you doing about it besides complaining? And again, like I said, that was the gut check for me was, okay, well, I don't like this and I don't like this and I don't like that. Well, if I am where I am because of the choices that I have made or allowed others to make for me, because I didn't stand up for myself, because I didn't use my voice to make a decision, that's on me. That's on me. And so where you are right now is a direct, it's a direct outcome of the choices that you've made. And that might not be a really fun thing to sit down and think about. But here's the good news. Here's the good news. You can make a choice right now to change that, to take a step in a different direction that's going to get you to the outcome that you want to get to. You have to make that decision. It's a mindset change. For me, it was a huge mindset change. I had to get myself out of the thought process of life was happening to me, that everything was happening to me, and take responsibility for the fact that I have a choice in what happens to me, in what I do. I may not be able to control all of the outward circumstances. I may not be able to control, the situation that I find myself in, but I can control how I'm going to respond to that situation. I can control what path I want to take based on what I'm facing right now. And you can too. But you've got to own your choices. You've got to own the fact that you are responsible for you. You are responsible for your responses. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, your responses, you are responsible for them, just like I am responsible for mine. So that's what I have for you tonight. Again, I understand that this could have been uncomfortable. And if it was, take that as a sign that maybe it's time to do a little bit of self-reflection. Maybe this touched a nerve because you are, you're in a place where you're ready to really look at what you're doing and to start owning your choices and being responsible for you. So if you need any help, if you need any suggestions, if you need to have a conversation about that, reach out to me. I am happy to have that conversation with you. I've got a lot of different resources that can help with that process of owning your responses, being responsible for you, and what that looks like, how to really kind of identify those choices and take ownership of them. So you can always feel free to reach out to me. I want to thank everyone who joined live. And for those of you who are watching in the replay, go ahead and like and share this video out. And if you are watching on Facebook, make sure you hit the notifications so that you know when we're going live. Same thing for my folks over there on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell at the top so that you get a notification when we're going live. And I hope that you all have an awesome weekend. It is Friday night, so I hope you've got something really wonderful planned for this weekend. For all of my mommies out there, I want to say Happy Mother's Day. I hope that you're able to enjoy it. And, amid everything that we have going on, I hope that you're able to still enjoy it. Know that you are celebrated. And I will see you all next time. So have a great weekend. And until next time, I am Crystal Fry, a woman's best friend, teaching women to see themselves, love themselves, and transform into themselves, into the women they were created to be. Have a great week.